So it's the holidays and you have some old school family favorite recipes that you're used to having every single year, but you're trying to eat better. So when you look at some of the ingredients and some of the processed things that are in a lot of those recipes that our generation, Gen Xers, grew up on, we realize that a lot of cream of chicken and cream of mushroom and canned fried onions are like, there's just a lot of chemicals and things that we don't really want. So what do you do with those recipes when you want the old comforting taste, but you want to eat it a little bit healthier? In today's video, I'm sharing how you can make green bean casserole without can of cream of ick soup. Stick around. I promise you, you're going to enjoy it. Okay, friend, it is Thanksgiving week. And I am trying to get a little baking and casseroles done ahead of time. So I'm trying to show you some of the ways that I have saved myself a little bit of time and cut out a little bit of the processed foods that are in a lot of the recipes that I grew up eating. One of those recipes was green bean casserole, which always had cream of mushroom soup in it, and it had those fried onions that come in a can, and I don't really know what all the ingredients are in that. They may not be that bad, but I just don't happen to have a can of them in my cupboard. So I'm going to make my own little crispy onion rings to top my casserole with. So let's get started. So for beginners, I am starting off with 6 cans because I'm making a double recipe of the green bean casserole. If you were making just a single recipe, then I would use either 3 cans of canned green beans or a 1-pound bag of fresh frozen green beans. Sometimes I like to make it with the fresh, but we have some family members who prefer the texture of the French cut green beans that are in a can because they're already really soft. And since the ingredients in this are only, the ingredients in these are only green beans, water, and salt. So what I'm going to do is open up all 6 cans. I'm going to drain the water off. I'm going to place those in the pan that I'm going to serve them in on Thanksgiving Day. And then when this recipe is all done, I'm going to freeze that whole container. Okay, to make our onion topping, we're basically going to make really skinny onion rings. So we're going to start off with about a half a cup of whole milk. And we're going to turn this into buttermilk by adding about a tablespoon of white distilled vinegar. You probably could use any other kind of vinegar. We just want to let that kind of curdle that up a little bit, and we're going to set it aside. And we are going to start slicing up roughly a half of an onion. Let's see if that gives us enough. And so I'm going to cut this in half, and then I'm going to slice down and give myself some really skinny little onion slivers. I guess they're not really onion rings because they're not full circles, but they will taste just the same. Whew, that's kind of a strong onion. Okay. If you are in the South and you happen to be familiar with the Varsity in Atlanta, I've only eaten there a couple of times, or maybe only once, but I absolutely fell in love with their onion rings. And I don't know their recipe, but I do know that I've made these onion rings and they taste very, very similar to those. So if you happen to try just the onion ring portion of this recipe. Let me know if you're familiar with the Varsity. Let's peel that outer layer off. Because I would love to know if anybody else thinks the same thing. They just have really delicious, very skinny onion rings. And oops, that's what I was going for here. Okay, now you can see how that milk has curdled with that vinegar. And we're going to drop these onions into that batter and let them soak a little bit while we put together our seasoned flour. Now the seasoned flour we are going to use to batter our little onion slivers, and we're also going to use that to help create our sauce, which is the reason why we don't need cream of mushroom soup. We're going to season up some flour. I'm going to start off with about 2/3 of a cup of flour. I'm going to add in about a teaspoon of garlic powder, about a half a teaspoon of black pepper. You can use white pepper too. I just don't have white pepper. And I'm also going to add in about a teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to sort of whisk that together with a fork. A whisk would work a little bit better, but it's on the other side of the room right now, so I don't feel like moving over there to get it. Okay, our oil is now warm. I'm going to pour off the pseudo buttermilk here. And we are going to batter up these little onion slivers. And probably fry them up in about 2, maybe 3 little batches. I am frying these in avocado oil, but you can use whatever oil you happen to have. If you can use either olive oil or avocado oil or even coconut oil, you'll be able to avoid just the seed oils and the ickiness that kind of comes with that. But if you are accustomed to working with vegetable oil, that's fine. Start with what you've got. You can always make improvements, and all of my recipes are in process. There are always healthier ways to do everything. We could always start with completely fresh green beans, not using anything in a can, but every little step that you make in the direction of fresh and more just simple is going to be an improvement. Again, I am just all about making improvements, just getting one little bit better about the food choices that I make and trying to do what I can on a budget. It's just not easy to be able to afford to eat all organic, grass-fed, everything, with grocery prices being what they are right now. But if you prepare food in your kitchen, you are 10 steps ahead of anyone who is eating fast food and processed food and takeout. So be kind to yourself. Do the best you can with what you've got. And if you're watching this and you want to criticize, just remember that we are all in process, and obviously we can all do a little bit better, but we do what we can. And these will crisp up fairly quickly, as you can see. Some of these are already ready, and I'm just putting them into a bowl with a napkin, lining it so they can dry out a little bit. Let's go with a set of tongs. It's going to be a little bit easier. There we go. This is so tempting to start eating them just right now. I'm not going to lie though, the Durkee brand or the crispy fried kinds that are in a can, I like to eat those out of the can too. I just know that they're not going to be as good for me as what I can make in my own kitchen. Okay, now at this point I am going to add in, we're going to start with a half of a stick of butter. I may end up going back and adding more, but we're going to add butter and, a stick of butter. We're going to add back a little bit of that oil, the avocado oil from before. That will just help keep our butter from burning. And meanwhile, I am chopping up an 8-ounce package of just regular white mushrooms. If you have Baby Bella, it would be even better, but I'm working with what was on sale at Walmart, so this will do just fine. When you are preparing your mushrooms, you don't want to rinse these in water. You want to take a paper towel and you want to wipe off the surfaces, and then I shave off a little bit of that stem just to make sure it's nice and fresh. Now I have roughly chopped, and I'm just going to chop up just a little bit, make these pieces a little smaller. So when we add to the green bean mixture, we have mushroom taste spread throughout, but still a whole lot more mushroom taste than you would have if you were using cream of mushroom soup. I'm going to slide those mushrooms in and just saute those till they start to get soft. Again, this is in avocado oil and a half a cup of butter. I went a little bit heavier on the butter than I had intended, but hey, when it's a holiday, a little bit of indulgence is a nice thing. Look at how golden those are. We're just going to let that cook down a little bit. And then we're going to come back and we're going to add in our leftover flour mixture. This is from where we battered our onion slivers. And this is going to make up the roux, which is going to make up the sauce to go over the greens. So we're going to let that simmer for about 3 minutes. Okay, our mushrooms are nice and soft now. We're going to come back and add in this flour mixture. It's already seasoned because it's got garlic powder, salt, pepper. So we don't really need to add any more to that. We're just going to let this make a roux. You can already see now how it's getting a little saucy, and you don't really have a need for cream of mushroom soup now. It only takes a few minutes. When it starts to get really dry, you can start to add in some liquid. Now in my recipe, you can use what you have. You could use chicken broth, you could use milk, you could even just use water because there's a lot of seasoning in this flour and with the butter and the mushrooms already. But I am going today to add I'm going to start off with about a cup of chicken broth. Maybe pour in about a half a cup at first. Incorporate it kind of slowly. There you can see it's just really turning into a really nice sauce. And it's nice and buttery. One other seasoning that I'm not using today that in the past we have used is Worcestershire sauce. If you like it and you don't have anyone in your dinner party who is allergic, then by all means use it. We just happen to have a sweet family friend who has an allergy to sardines, and ironically, there's sardine in Worcestershire sauce. Who knew? I did not until our dear friend Nicole made us aware. One way that you can actually have Worcestershire sauce that is safe is if you look for vegan, because vegan Worcestershire sauce would not have any sardines in it. So I don't happen to have any of that, but my daughter has found it. I don't remember what store she said she found it in, but it is possible. So there is our sauce. Our onion toppings, I'm going to take these when they cool down completely and put them in a Ziploc bag. When the casserole is ready to go in the oven on Thursday, I will add the toppings to it and then warm that through and toast the onion to perfection. Yum, yum. So there you go, friends. Green bean casserole prepped and ready to go into the freezer. If you're going to freeze it, definitely let it cool down to room temperature before you put it in the freezer. And you don't necessarily have to freeze the onions with it if you're going to use it very quickly. But I'm just going to attach mine just so they don't get lost in the process of transferring from one house to another. I hope that you find that recipe helpful and find it possible to step away from some of the things that we think are main ingredients but don't necessarily have to be in the foods that we are eating. We're able to do so much more than we think just by making simple swaps like creating your own sauce and ditching a can of cream of whatever soup. You're able to make foods a whole lot cleaner and a lot healthier for your body. I hope that you find this to be a yummy recipe in your kitchen. Until the next video, you have a blessed day and check out this video right here. Hopefully it'll be something else that you'll be inspired to cook.